I suppose one of the older jokes that you hear about is getting kids in the car and they ask, "Are we there yet?" And well, until you go on a long trip with kids, you don't realize just how real that joke really isn't, that it's reality. In Luke chapter 23, verse 43, Jesus addresses this subject about, "Are we there yet?" on a vastly different scale. In fact, Jesus is hanging on the cross, and for the second time, he speaks from that cross to the thief that is hanging next to him. And he says to that man, "This day you will be with me in paradise." When Jesus speaks those words, he says at least a couple of things that should stand out to us. First of all, Jesus knew where he was going. "This day you will be with me in paradise." The word paradise and the place paradise is not mentioned a lot in the Bible. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, the Apostle Paul talks about a vision in which he went to paradise. And there's a lot of debate and a lot of discussion about what it actually means. There's probably some reference to it in the incident that Jesus talks about in Luke chapter 16 regarding Lazarus the beggar Lazarus, after he had died. But I think it's sufficient for us to think about that this is a place where living mortals don't go. Jesus said, "I'm going there after my death." And this is not a place where you find mortal man. This is a spirit-filled place. This is a spiritual place. And Jesus said that he's going there. Because Jesus was going there, we know that this is the place where the righteous go after their deaths. But not only did Jesus know where he was going, secondly, he knew when he was going. He said, "This day." Jesus knew he was going to die that day. And Jesus knew that day his earthly life would be over. We sometimes forget about the fact that Jesus was flesh and blood completely. He was human nature. The Word became flesh entirely. And that flesh died. You see, prior to that, he had been spirit. God is spirit. Those that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. God is spirit. Jesus was a spirit. Spirit cannot die. And in order to die for our sins, spirit had to become flesh. Creator had to become created. And that flesh died on the cross. And he knew exactly when he was going to die. "This day, I'm going to paradise." And he knew he could take others with him. That's why he tells the thief that's what he can do. When you read the discussion between the two thieves, this one is saying that, we're here justly. He's indicating he's very penitent about the things he had done. And Jesus, under that old covenant, takes him to paradise with him. So paradise is not a place that man cannot go. The spirit of man cannot go. The righteous spirit of man cannot go. In fact, Jesus said, "I'm going and others can go with me this day." We have to realize that, unlike Jesus, we usually don't have the luxury of knowing what day we're going to die. But we have to think about it from the standpoint that any day could be this day.